Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to Apollo Art Analysis. This episode, we're going to be checking out a piece by the up-and-coming AI generative artist known as Takyon. This episode, we're going to be talking about this kind of ethereal shimmer here. We're going to talk about the deforum notebook, and we're also going to be talking about kind of the liberating view one may look at death itself. So let's jump right into it. So whenever you first see this work, we're met with what appears to be a scene of some type of divine celebration here in the center here. Certainly catches the eyes. We're caught and captivated by this kind of incredible sense of charm or magic within the composition. So always important to note whenever taking a look at this work. So really nice introduction. Of course, we see this kind of main scene set in center. This does create kind of an island of kind of visual impact there, as you see kind of neutral backing really allows that quite brilliantly. And so you'll see this, of course, it's set in center and it accents itself through both placement as well as contrast. So we see this really brilliant light and dark contrast, and we also see it's placed in the center as well. So both of those certainly catch the eye and just make it unforgettable in its presence. And so what first caught my eye whenever I saw this work are these kind of little bits of red here, these kind of roiling forms that appear to be dancing throughout the spatial composition. And it's hard to say exactly, why or how they're dancing. We'll go a bit deeper that here in a second. So we certainly see that for sure. These kind of countless curves within the composition really give this masterful sense of motion. And so what's also inescapable is this kind of moon standing in the center region. This certainly has kind of a rare sense of color as well. It's brilliant, it's lucid, it catches the eye instantly, and that also contributes to that sense of charm that we were talking about earlier. It gives that kind of sense of magic, and we see almost this kind of pixie dust, if you will, this kind of divine iridescent kind of dust or light all around that really gives that sense of charm for sure. And so we also see, of course, this is set at night. So the moon is really an ancient symbol of the night as well as death. We'll also go a bit deeper in that here in a second, but really important, of course, a twilight scene. So any presence of light is really going to intensify itself to the highest degree possible. So whenever you have a darker degrees or kind of darker themes within the composition, then any presence of light, such as, say, the full moon here, certainly kind of explodes with this incredible sense of energy. So certainly calls the eye and contributes to that kind of invigorated sense within the spatial composition. And so we also see what we would call kind of a divine scene before us, right? We talked about that iridescent light. We talked about, say, the moon itself. And then we have what appear to be these kind of almost paranormal, metaphysical kind of little wisps that are dancing all around us. So all in all, this really contributes to that kind of divine destination that we feel as if we're looking at here. And so also, we talked about the moon, and this is really important because the symbolism of the night, right? We have the night, which also symbolizes death, darkness, anything that goes along with that, of course, in contrast to the sun of life and everything like that. So certainly a very archaic symbol, always important to note. And what we're looking at here is quite interesting, right? We have the symbol of death, and then we have what appears to be a celebration or some figures kind of dancing around that archaic symbol of death. So what does this mean, right? So I asked the original artist, and the artist actually said that this is meant to be a kind of celebration for the death of a loved one. And not necessarily, a crazy good celebration, but something more as liberating. So we certainly see that perspective here. We see, this kind of charming, almost party, definitely a celebration for sure. We certainly see that in the composition. And so that really gives us a sense of the divinity, right? That's kind of the archaic cycle of life and death, from life to death and renew again, right? So all of these very important symbols that we're looking at. And so that archaic cycle is just, as mortal beings, we have to confront the final end or the death that we all share. So this sense really gives us that sense of kind of liberation within the work at hand. And so I actually have another piece here. I believe we're looking at Moving Shadows 04, if I have correct, and I know that this is 02. So, when we take a look at these works, of course, that kind of twilight composition certainly comes to mind in both of these works. So we see, any presence of light certainly intensifies itself to the brilliant degree. Of course, this moon and these areas of red, it's just absolutely brilliant. And so this, of course, in contrast to this work here, we certainly see a much more divine scene within here. And here it appears to be snowing kind of at night or something like that in here, but we have that kind of immense charm, a kind of divine dust that appears to be permeating like every pixel of the spatial composition. And so, yeah, all in all, these are really two good works to put side by side, both coming from the artist Takyon. So now we're going to talk, this is an AI generative work, and I have a little bit of reference about how this work was created. So it was created in something called the deforum notebook, which is a form of clip-guided diffusion. So the artist basically allows themselves to kind of code this in an alchemical manner. So it allows an incredible amount of kind of dynamism as well as that versatility within the work at hand. So we certainly see that just an absolute divine work. We see those twilight tones. The themes here are just ethereal, and of course the original artist notes that this is meant to be a celebration or liberation of the death of a loved. Certainly a very deep piece, certainly very meaningful, and the artist does an amazing job at displaying that for sure. So hope you guys enjoyed. We checked out the original artist, the AI generative artist known as Takyon. We looked at one of the works here, and then we also kind of referenced to one of the works as well in the same series. So hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, go check out the original artist, always doing some great stuff. Hope you guys enjoyed. My name is Apollo. This was Apollo Art Analysis, and I'll see y'all on the next episode.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you'd like to support our work directly, please check out our Apollo community tokens. Apollo Art Exchange is an ecosystem of art appreciation which elevates artists each and every day. Thanks for listening.